Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Q&A, comic books, video games, and movies. Today we have an interesting uh, versus battle, courtesy of my friend Jason, who he's kind of a hardcore Marvel fan. Um, but this versus battle is between Wolverine and X-23. I get a lot of requests to do this, so I'm going to point this out ahead of time. A lot of people are confused about the relation between the two. A lot of people have said that X-23 is Wolverine's daughter. I would like to point out that she is, in fact, a failed clone of Wolverine. Um, that being said, let's take a look at what they can do. Because virtually their abilities are the exact same, with some minor exceptions. Uh, One, both of them can completely regenerate from any form of injury. That is an important thing. It allowed them to get their metal skeletons, uh, which without the healing factor would be impossible. They have enhanced strength. They both have enhanced endurance and stamina. They can fight for an extended long time. I believe they estimated that Wolverine himself can fight for 4 days straight, nonstop, without getting tired because his body doesn't produce the fatigue enzyme. Uh, they both have incredible senses. Wolverine can hear a leaf breaking off of a branch 5 miles from where he's at. That's pretty impressive. It's because the regeneration makes it so his olfactory and auditory senses do not atrophy over time. Uh, they both are incredibly strong. Wolverine can lift, I think they said, around 1 ton on his shoulders. Um, they can move incredibly fast and are exceedingly agile, considering even though they have the metal running through their body, they are very agile. Um, I would like to point out that Wolverine is, in fact, a master of every fighting style on the planet. Um, at least that's self-proclaimed. Uh, I think in order to be the master of a style, you have to beat the master of the style. And I don't know if he went around the world fighting these masters. He certainly had the time to do so. Because we all know he was born around the 1830s and grew up fighting pretty much in every war that we have had since then. So he did have time to do so. The healing factor makes him age incredibly slowly. In fact, he jokes about it quite often when he catches a glimpse of himself from the future. He's like, at least I don't lose my hair. You know, it's kind of funny. But I think realistically speaking, between these two, of the two, X-23 is, scientifically speaking, more deadly than Wolverine is. Uh, on many different levels. The way that cutting works makes her claws more lethal. Um, and I do think that she gets the edge when it comes to agility because it's a anthropological fact that 9 out of 10 women are more flexible than men as a generalized rule. Uh, so I think that in reality she is on par with him stat wise. However, she does get the edge in agility and probably speed. She doesn't have all that bulky muscle, um, to slow her down. I would like to say that in reality, I think that probably 7 out of 10 times Wolverine will win over her. Not because he's a superior strength, not because he's a guy. In no way do I want this to turn into a sexist thing. I've noticed that a lot lately in commentaries that people are like, well, X-23 only has 2 claws on her hands because they're sexist. I don't think it has to do with that. Keep in mind, in addition to the 2 claws that come out of her hands, X-23 also has one in each foot that pops out, which kind of makes it a little bit more brutal, I think. All that being said, I think, like I said, Wolverine will win 7 out of 10 times, primarily because he has been around a long time and he does have so much fighting skill in his repertoire. He is a little bit more savage than her once the Berserker Rage kicks in, which they both do have a Berserker form, if you will. Um, Hers is very quick and very to the point. It happens, it's done. His kind of draws out. I think his lasts a lot longer than hers, which kind of gives him the edge when fighting. I think that the two of them would go at each other, repeatedly, and his rage would kick in, her rage would kick in, but his would last a little longer. Um, all that being said, let's look at this fight and how it would go down. If they had to fight, quote unquote, to the death, I don't think either one of them would die, but that's not the point. Um, I think that if they had to fight hardcore, all morals aside, like I said, Wolverine would win 7 out of 10 times. She would win 3 out of 10 times, obviously, for those of you who don't pay attention to the math. Um, but I think that it really would depend on the location. I think she's much more at ease in a cityscape where she can use the environment for like parkour. Um, However, I think that if they were out like in a jungle, Wolverine would definitely get the win on this. I think that if they were on equal ground, like say in a battle arena, where nobody has an advantage, there's nothing for them to use to their advantage. It's just a big open area for them to fight. Um, I think it would go down like this. They would take turns performing various martial arts maneuvers, not in an effort to take the opponent out at first. I think they would simply try to find each other's weakness and learn more about their opponent. Both are very tactical characters. They will study their opponent before making their attack because they know that overconfidence can cause any number of problems. That being said, I think that eventually Wolverine would find a way to get inside her defenses. She is not without her own skill. I'm not saying she can't fight. I'm saying she's a very good fighter. But he's had a lot more time to work on his skill than she has. So logic would suggest that he would be able to pull out maneuvers that she had not been prepared for. Um, he's much more adept at, for instance, the whole spinning around and slicing with his, back slice like that. Um, and I think that he can take a punch better than she can. Not because she's a girl, but because she hasn't been hit as much as he has. A lot of people have tried to take him out over the time. And so I feel that in this fight, like I said, they would go back and forth until eventually Wolverine would figure out a way to slip between her defenses. He would counter. I don't think he would go outright for the kill. Not just because she's a girl. I think it's because he and her are of kindred spirits. So I feel like he would have respect for her. So by that estimate, those who he has respect for, he would never try to kill. Uh, kind of like in the movie, uh, Days of Future Past, he tells Beast, you and I are going to be great friends. And then he punches him in the face. He has respect for Beast. And on many occasions, he has, simply punched somebody rather than used his claws because he has respect for them. Uh, so I feel like, yes, he would hold back a little bit, but not too much. And I feel like he would eventually, um, I guess he would just counter attack until he could get in. He would probably pull out some Krav Maga or some Aikido. Uh, and I think that, he would simply put her in a hold that she couldn't get out of, and put her to sleep. I think that he would, do the non lethal takedown. Uh, if it came to lethality, I think that she would not hold back, which is why she would win sometimes. 3 out of 10 times, like I said. I feel like if it came down to it, she would kill him over him killing her because he would not want to kill her. She seems very much like she's not in control of her urges when she's berserking. Um, Even when he's berserking, he tries to avoid hitting people he has some connection with. So that does give her the advantage in overall ferocity. Uh, so, yeah, Jason, I want you to know this is a great fight. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I believe that Wolverine would come out on top, like I said, 7 out of 10 times. I know I've said that a couple times, but I just want to point that out. I don't believe anybody is unbeatable. I believe that they are incredibly tough to beat, but I don't believe that nobody can be unbeatable. You just have to figure out how to do it, which is hard in some cases. Um, yeah, that's my analysis of Wolverine versus X-23. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I will be posting this also on my Facebook group page. Thanks again and stay awesome.